Have you ever caught yourself having a full conversation with yourself? Maybe you're planning your day out loud, rehearsing an argument you'll never have, or just narrating what you're doing like you're the main character in a movie. You look around, hoping no one heard you. You feel a little weird, maybe even a little crazy. But here's the thing, you're not alone, and you're definitely not crazy. Welcome to Mind Reversed, where we explore the fascinating psychology behind everyday behaviors. Today, we're diving deep into the minds of people who talk to themselves. Why do they do it? What does it mean? And most importantly, is it actually a sign of genius or madness? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand yourself, and maybe even appreciate those conversations you have with the most important person in your life, you. Let's get into it. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Is talking to yourself normal? The answer is absolutely yes. In fact, research suggests that 96% of adults talk to themselves. That's right, almost everyone does it. So if you thought you were weird, you're actually part of the vast majority. But here's where it gets interesting. There are different types of self-talk, and each one serves a different purpose in our psychological makeup. There's inner speech, that voice in your head that never shuts up. Then there's external self-talk, when you actually speak out loud to yourself. And finally, there's private speech, something we'll explore more deeply later. Psychologists have been studying this phenomenon for decades, and what they've discovered is absolutely fascinating. Self-talk isn't just random noise in your brain. It's actually a sophisticated cognitive tool that your mind uses to process information, solve problems, and regulate emotions. So before we go any further, let me make this clear. If you talk to yourself, you're not losing your mind. You might actually be using it better than most people. Now let's dive into the science. What's actually happening in your brain when you talk to yourself? When you engage in self-talk, multiple regions of your brain light up simultaneously. The language centers, Broca's area and Wernicke's area, become active. But that's not all. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and decision-making, also gets involved. Even your motor cortex shows activity, as if you're preparing to speak. This creates what neuroscientists call a feedback loop. You're not just thinking, you're actively engaging your brain in a multisensory experience. You're hearing your own voice, processing the words, and responding to them. It's like having a conversation, but all the participants are you. Dr. Gary Lupien, a psychology professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, conducted fascinating research on this. He found that when people verbalize what they're looking for, let's say you're searching for your keys and you say out loud, "Where are my keys?" you're actually more likely to find them. Why? Because saying it out loud activates visual processing in your brain more effectively than silent thought. Another study by psychologists Ethan Kross and Jason Moser discovered something even more interesting. They found that the way you talk to yourself matters tremendously. People who used their own name or you instead of I showed better emotional regulation and stress management. For example, instead of saying, "I can do this," saying, "You can do this," or "John, you can do this," actually helps you perform better under pressure. It creates psychological distance, allowing you to coach yourself the way a friend would. Think about that for a moment. Your brain responds differently when you talk to yourself in third person. It's like you're becoming your own best friend, your own therapist, your own coach. But why does this work? It all comes down to something called cognitive offloading. When you speak your thoughts out loud, you're essentially transferring information from your working memory to your auditory processing system. This frees up mental space, reduces cognitive load, and helps you think more clearly. It's like when your computer is running slow because too many programs are open. Talking to yourself is like closing unnecessary tabs. Your mental processing speed improves. Now that we understand the science, let's talk about the different types of people who talk to themselves. Because not all self-talk is created equal. You might recognize yourself in one or more of these categories. Type 1, the problem solver. These are the people who talk themselves through tasks. They're the ones you hear in the kitchen saying, "Okay, first I need to chop the onions, then heat the oil, then..." They're literally narrating their actions. Why do they do this? Because verbal guidance helps them organize complex sequences of actions. Athletes do this all the time. Before a free throw, a basketball player might say, "Bend your knees, follow through, watch the rim." It's a technique called instructional self-talk, and it's proven to improve performance. If you're this type, you're essentially programming yourself for success, step by step. Type 2, the rehearser. These are the people who practice conversations before they happen. They're in the shower, in the car, or lying in bed, having entire dialogues with people who aren't there. So when my boss asks why the report is late, I'll say, or if she brings up that topic, I'll respond with, psychologically, this is called preparatory self-talk. You're reducing anxiety about future interactions by mentally simulating them. It's your brain's way of reducing uncertainty. The more you rehearse, the more confident you feel when the actual situation arrives. The interesting thing? Sometimes these rehearsed conversations never happen. But the act of rehearsing still benefits you because it clarifies your thoughts and feelings about the situation. Type 3, the emotional regulator. These people use self-talk to manage their emotions. When they're stressed, you might hear them say, "It's okay, just breathe, you've got this." When they're angry, they might say, "Calm down, don't say something you'll regret." This is called regulatory self-talk, and it's one of the most powerful psychological tools we have. By externalizing your emotions through speech, you create distance from them. Instead of being consumed by the feeling, you become an observer of it. Therapists actually teach this technique. It's a form of cognitive restructuring, changing how you think by changing how you talk to yourself. Type 4, the motivator. These are the self-talkers who pump themselves up. Athletes are famous for this. Before a big game or competition, they give themselves pep talks. "You trained for this, you're ready, go out there and dominate." But it's not just athletes. Students do this before exams, professionals do this before presentations. Anyone facing a challenge might engage in motivational self-talk. Research shows this actually works. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who gave themselves motivational pep talks showed increased perseverance and better performance on difficult tasks. Type 5, the thinker out loud. These people don't even realize they're doing it. Their thoughts just spill out. They're processing information, and their internal monologue accidentally becomes external. Interesting. So if I do this, then that happens. But wait, what about these are often highly analytical people? Their brains are so active that thinking silently isn't enough. They need to hear their thoughts to fully process them. Albert Einstein was known for talking to himself. So was Nikola Tesla. Many great thinkers throughout history were observed having conversations with themselves. Because for highly intelligent people, self-talk isn't a quirk. It's a necessity. Type 6, the companion self-talker. This is perhaps the most touching category. These are people who talk to themselves because they're lonely, or because they find comfort in their own voice. They might say, "Well, I guess it's just you and me today," or narrate their activities as if someone is listening. "Now I'm going to make some tea. This is my favorite mug." Psychologically, this serves an important function. It creates a sense of presence in solitude. It makes being alone feel less lonely. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a healthy coping mechanism. Many people who live alone develop this habit. It's their way of filling the silence, of maintaining a sense of connection even when no one else is around. Now let's talk about why talking to yourself is actually beneficial. Because the science is clear. Self-talk offers legitimate psychological advantages. Benefit 1. Enhanced memory and learning studies show that when you say things out loud, you remember them better. This is called the production effect. The act of speaking engages motor systems in your brain, creating a richer memory trace. Students who study by reading material out loud perform better on tests than those who study silently. Why? Because they're creating multiple pathways to the same information: visual, auditory, and motor. So if you're trying to remember something important, say it out loud. Your brain will thank you. Benefit 2. Improved focus and concentration. Talking to yourself helps you stay on task. When you verbalize what you're doing, you're less likely to get distracted. Think about it. When you say, "Okay, I need to finish this email," you're actively directing your attention. It's harder for your mind to wander when you're verbally committed to a task. Research from the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology confirms this. Participants who talked themselves through tasks showed significantly better focus and made fewer errors. Benefit 3. Better problem-solving abilities. Here's something fascinating. Talking to yourself makes you smarter. Well, not literally, but it does enhance your problem-solving abilities. When you verbalize a problem, you're forced to organize your thoughts logically. You can't be vague when you're speaking out loud. You have to be specific, clear, and coherent. This process of articulation often leads to breakthrough moments. How many times have you been stuck on something, started explaining it out loud, and suddenly the solution appeared? That's not coincidence. That's the cognitive power of self-talk. Benefit 4. Emotional control and stress reduction. We touched on this earlier, but it deserves emphasis. Self-talk is one of the most effective tools for managing emotions. When you're anxious and you say, "It's going to be okay, I've handled harder things than this," you're activating your rational brain. You're overriding your emotional impulses with logical reasoning. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective forms of psychotherapy, is essentially structured self-talk. It teaches you to identify negative thought patterns and replace them with healthier ones. Benefit 5. Increased self-awareness. When you talk to yourself, you're engaging in a form of self-reflection. You're examining your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors from an outside perspective. This creates metacognition, the ability to think about your thinking. It's like being able to step outside yourself and observe your own mind. People with high self-awareness tend to make better decisions, have healthier relationships, and experience greater life satisfaction. And one way to develop self-awareness? Talk to yourself regularly. Benefit 6. Confidence building. Positive self-talk builds confidence. When you consistently speak to yourself with encouragement and support, you internalize those messages. Athletes use affirmations constantly. "I am strong, I am capable, I am prepared." These aren't just empty words. They're programming the subconscious mind for success. The voice you hear most often is your own. Make sure it's saying things worth listening to. Now, we need to address something important. While self-talk is generally healthy and normal, there are situations where it might indicate something more serious. Red flag 1, when it's intrusive and uncontrollable. If you find that you can't stop talking to yourself, even when you want to, and it's interfering with your daily life, that might be a concern. Normal self-talk is voluntary. You're choosing to do it. But if it feels compulsive or involuntary, it could be a symptom of an anxiety disorder or OCD. Red flag 2. When the voice feels separate from you in typical self-talk, you know it's your voice. But if you start to feel like the voice is someone else, or if you're having conversations with voices that feel external to you, that's different. This could be a symptom of conditions like schizophrenia or other psychotic disorders. The key difference is whether you recognize the voice as your own thoughts or whether it feels like someone else is speaking. Red flag 3. When it's overwhelmingly negative. If your self-talk is constantly critical, harsh, and self-defeating, that's not healthy. Negative self-talk can be a symptom of depression, low self-esteem, or trauma. "You're so stupid, you always mess everything up, nobody likes you." If this is the dominant voice in your head, it's time to seek support. Therapy can help you restructure these negative patterns. Red flag 4. When it replaces social interaction. If you're choosing to talk to yourself instead of interacting with others, and it's causing isolation, that's concerning. Self-talk is beneficial, but it shouldn't replace genuine human connection. We're social creatures. We need interaction with others for psychological health. If you find yourself withdrawing from relationships and relying solely on self-talk for companionship, it might be worth exploring why that's happening. Important note: if any of these red flags apply to you, please consider talking to a mental health professional. There's no shame in seeking help. In fact, recognizing when you need support is a sign of strength, and self-awareness. All right, we've covered the what and the why. Now let's talk about the how. How can you use self-talk more effectively to improve your life? Tip 1. Use your name or you. Remember the research we discussed. Talking to yourself in third person is more effective than first person. Instead of, I can handle this, try, you can handle this, or use your name, you can handle this. It creates psychological distance and helps you think more objectively. Tip 2. Be specific and actionable. Vague self-talk isn't helpful. Instead of, I need to do better, say, I will spend 30 minutes today working on my project. The more specific you are, the more your brain can actually act on what you're saying. Tip 3. Focus on process, not just outcome. Instead of, I need to win this game, say, I will focus on my technique, stay present, and give my best effort. Process-focused self-talk reduces anxiety because you're focusing on things within your control. Tip 4. Question negative thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking something negative, challenge it out loud. Am I really the worst at this? What evidence do I have? Haven't I succeeded before? By questioning your negative thoughts, you weaken their power over you. Tip 5. Use self-talk for preparation before challenging situations. Talk yourself through what you'll do. When I walk into that interview, I'll take a deep breath, smile, make eye contact, and speak clearly. This mental rehearsal primes your brain for success. Tip 6. Create affirmations that resonate. Positive affirmations work, but only if you actually believe them. Don't just repeat empty phrases. Find affirmations that feel true to you. Instead of, I'm the best at everything, try, I'm capable of learning and growing. The more genuine the affirmation, the more powerful its effect. Tip 7. Talk to yourself like you'd talk to a friend. This is perhaps the most important tip. Most of us would never speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves. We're harsh, critical, and unforgiving to ourselves, but we're kind, supportive, and encouraging to others. Try this. When you're struggling, ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Then say that to yourself. Self-compassion through self-talk is transformative. Tip 8. Use self-talk to regulate emotions in real time. When you feel emotions rising, narrate what's happening. I'm feeling really angry right now. My heart is racing. I want to yell, but I'm going to take 3 deep breaths first. This creates space between the emotion and your reaction. It gives you back control. So there you have it. The complete psychology of people who talk to themselves. We've learned that self-talk is not only normal but beneficial. It's a sign of an active, engaged mind. It's a tool that helps us think more clearly, solve problems more effectively, manage our emotions, and perform better under pressure. The greatest thinkers, athletes, and achievers throughout history have all talked to themselves. It's not a weakness, it's a superpower when used correctly. So the next time you catch yourself having a conversation with yourself, don't feel embarrassed. Don't look around nervously hoping no one heard. Instead, recognize what you're actually doing. You're engaging one of your brain's most sophisticated cognitive tools. You're not crazy, you're not weird, you're human, and you're using your mind the way it was designed to be used. The relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you'll ever have. And like any relationship, it requires communication. So talk to yourself, listen to yourself, be kind to yourself. Your inner voice is always with you. Make sure it's saying things worth hearing. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you something. Do you talk to yourself? What kind of self-talker are you? Are you the problem solver, the rehearser, the motivator? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your experiences. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to Mind Reversed. We explore the fascinating psychology behind everyday behaviors, helping you understand yourself and others better. Hit that like button, share this with someone who talks to themselves, which, as we learned, is pretty much everyone, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the human mind. Remember, the conversations you have with yourself shape the person you become. Make them count. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep talking to yourself. This is Mind Reversed. See you in the next one.